Welcome to today's episode, the podcast where we discuss the most recent installments of a different series every show. It is Monday, July 14th, and Dexter has returned. If you had asked me, with all the reboots that we've seen, from X-Files to Gossip Girl to Party Down to 24, Twilight Zone, Heroes, that 70s show, there's a billion in the works right now, that Dexter would be the real cockroach, the show that refuses to die, Showtime's equivalent of The Big Bang Theory, AMC's The Walking Dead. You've got New Blood, Original Sin, and now Resurrection. It just feels like the idea has been recycled and recycled, and usually that means it's going to get worse. We've seen it time and time again. It's the law of diminishing returns. However, with this show, with Resurrection, you've got the original creators, you've got a ton of returning casts, sans Rita and Deb and LaGuerta and Masuka, but they could come back, technically. They've got a huge soundtrack. You got newcomers and Peter Dinklage, Uma Thurman. It's set in New York City. It seems like they're pulling out all the stops for Resurrection, where with New Blood, which came out 8 years later and was supposed to be the final Dexter chapter, it didn't feel like they put nearly as much effort into that one. Like, they literally only had Deb from the original series, besides maybe a cameo from Angel Batista.
I think it's partly for a couple reasons. One, I do think that New Blood, I agree with you, was supposed to be the end. Like, that's the reason why even in the finale it seems like it's a definitive thing. But I feel like Original Sin and also Resurrection were pitched as one. Like, you weren't going to have one without the other. In fact,
they were created together. It's told in Original Sin that he survived New Blood.
Not only that, back when I clicked on Original Sin in December, the first thing that popped up was a Dexter Resurrection ad that was going to be coming out in the summer.
Yeah, Michael C. Hall talked to the Clyde guy who runs the whole thing, and he was like, yeah, I feel like this character has more life to live, more stuff to breathe, and so they were like, yeah, let's work on it, and this is what they came up with. I'm just confused why it took them, why they just didn't do New Blood in New York City. It seems like a more organic shift from such a busy place. I understand they had to continue with the storyline from the end of the Miami thing where he's a lumberjack. And so they were like, let's do this small town operation here.
It was also strange how it took place in Iron Lake in New Blood, but it was Oregon in the final.
He's been moving
scene.
around a little bit, but he has made a life for himself. He is Jim Lindsay in New Blood. That's a play off the original,
Jeff Lindsay,
the original
author.
writer. Yeah. And Harrison shows up. So it's been many years. He's a moody teen. He has dark tendencies. Hannah is nowhere around. He says that she's died of cancer. Do you have any questions about that? Do you think Hannah actually died of cancer, that they're going to reveal that Harrison had something to do with that?
No, because I feel like Harrison's turn, and I thought that Harrison was the worst part of New Blood, quite frankly, but I think his turn happened when he started talking with Dexter. I don't think he lied about Hannah dying the way she did.
Okay, yeah, also maybe Yvonne Strahovski was too busy with Handmaid's Tale and all that. But yeah, so Harrison, I would also say it's kind of unfair to say that he was the only problem with New Blood or the biggest problem, because when you pitch a show and you tell everybody Dexter's coming back, and then you spend half of the time following just this new kid, because it is new. I know Harrison's been around since season 3, but like new characters, almost like Carl in The Walking Dead.
Soap opera. I mean, he's just in high school and he's like popular, but he's also trying to like help other kids.
I feel like Dexter, the original show, jumped the shark when it started concentrating on too many side characters, either finding out that he was the killer, especially when Deb did, but also before that when he had to like start diversifying his time even more than just his dating life with Rita. But when he had to take care of Harrison and they had the babysitter all the time and stuff like that, it did create some scenes of just like, okay, they have to have this in here because he is playing a dad. In this show, or New Blood, it was like he was just constantly bombarded with Deborah groaning about how he shouldn't tell Harrison. And I just never felt like it was the real Deborah from the earlier seasons of Dexter.
No. This one is it still has the sarcastic side to her, but she's obviously not even remotely close to the empathetic Deborah that we got in Dexter.
Or Original Sin. Like, I feel like the Deborah in Original Sin was a better representation of Jennifer Carpenter's character in the earlier seasons of Dexter than the Deborah in New Blood. Now, she's one of the few that doesn't show up in Resurrection. But the bigger issue that I had with New Blood, besides the fact that they killed him, is that like Angela he was dating the chief of police.
Right.
She finds out that he's the Bay Harbor butcher.
She's been figuring out clues about him throughout the series, but yeah.
Yeah, but she becomes super duper confident in that theory. Then he gets shot, and it looks like she's just going to be okay letting him die. But then she saves his life. She drives him over to like a hospital pretty
Right.
nearby.
This is all at the
I think it's like
beginning of Original Sin. It's the first scene.
the Seneca Hospital, and it's told that then she leaves town with her daughter and forgives Dexter for being the serial killer, all because he helped her catch Clancy Brown, despite the fact that he also killed an innocent cop, their best or like one of her closest friends, Logan, at the same time. We just sort of have to eat that. And I feel like the only reason that the fans are willing to is because they are so wanting to see Dexter succeed in a New York type city.
Well, it's interesting because I think that it's definitely going to rely on how Dexter Resurrection finishes because they've proven they don't know how to make a series finale. But if you look at the
That's a
IMDb
good point.
scores, 8.6 on IMDb for the original Dexter, 8 for New Blood, and 8.2 for Dexter Original Sin. Those are insane scores.
Do you want to
insanely
know what
high.
this has?
I
What
don't know what it
Resurrection?
has.
I'll tell you because just tell me what your rating is at the start.
7.
Okay, it's a 7. It has a 9.3 on IMDb.
A 9.3.
But do you get why?
I do. I understand it because my pros, I was very happy to have a lot of them.
Yeah, it's so weird that they pull out so many impossible things that are happening, and yet it's like Crank, that movie with Jason Statham, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like none of this makes any sense, but I'm okay with it, you know? And it's not even like the LA Suits where I it's so bad it's good. It's actually okay. And someone on the internet,
it's good.
like on one of the Reddit comments, it was like people have to start assessing Dexter not as like prestige TV, maybe as like the first couple seasons were presented, but more like a comic book. And in that way, I understand how you don't want him to become a superhero, but at the same time, it's like it's cooler for his character, I guess, to exist in this like plethora of society where everything is nuts.
And my first con, just straight off the bat, I'm glad Michael C. Hall fought for Dexter because he solidified himself in this character. He always brings it. He embodies the character so great. He's like Antony Starr with Homelander, Bryan Cranston with Walter White, James Gandolfini with Tony Soprano. He is Dexter as far as I'm concerned. And as long as he wants to play this character, I'm 100% in.
Yeah, at this point, though, it's a franchise, so who knows? It could go on and on and on. Harrison might get his own show. I know the Trinity Killer has been like the spinoff to that. They at one point were talking about.
I have so much to say about this.
So,
TV
yeah,
series,
A Beating Heart is the first episode of Resurrection. Dex has his Rick moment from The Walking Dead where he's having just an imagination, dream, hallucination.
That was my first comparison. What comes after Rick's final episode where he's met by all other characters that we know? Same thing here with Dexter
Except it's not his
Resurrection.
friends. So Rick got to see
Right.
Herschel and Shane and all his colleagues. But with Dexter, who is he seeing?
He's seen all his killers that he's had to face in like other seasons.
Like the bigger ones, Trinity Killer, obviously, John Lithgow being the first person, I think.
So I was really glad about this because I remember when I was doing New Blood research, there was articles upon articles about how John Lithgow was going to reprise his role as the Trinity Killer, and then he shows up literally for less than 10 seconds. And I remember I was really annoyed with it. You could have told me they took behind the scenes footage from season 4 and just put in Dexter New Blood, but here he's actually given like a full scene. I was really happy that he had way more screen time in here than he did in New Blood, where it was literally like 7 seconds.
And then you had Jimmy Smith show up, and he was a friend of Dexter's for a while as
Miguel
Miguel.
Prado.
Yeah.
I thought what was going to happen because in season 2 he kind of faces himself. I thought that after Jimmy Smith's cameo, which I was also glad to see, we were going to then jump to season 1 where we were going to see his brother or stepbrother.
Yeah, I'm curious if they are going to bring Brian into this because I realized that in Original Sin, they had Deb, they had Brian, or I don't want to like give too many spoilers away, but they had a lot of characters who they don't show in this series. I'm wondering if that was intentional. The only person that we get who was also in Original Sin besides Dexter was obviously Angel, but also his dad, Harry. Harry does show up again, and everybody looks pretty good compared to where they were 20 years ago. Like no one is, besides maybe Harrison, has aged the most, it seems like. Because,
I 100% believe that Brian is going to show up in this TV series, especially with how much he was teased in Original Sin. But not only that, I found it funny.
Well, Brian didn't make it through the
No,
first season.
I'm saying he's showing up as a ghost. I believe
Oh, okay.
he's going to show up in season 1, but also young Dexter and young Brian from Original Sin are also in Resurrection. They replay themselves. So I found that cool as well,
That
that
is
cameo.
cool.
And then they brought back Teddy Reed from New Blood, which I also enjoyed, the cop.
Oh, the cop. I thought you were going to talk about Dokes first, though, because he was the final person in that kind of hallucination state that he talks to. What did you think of that cameo?
Dokes, I thought, was the most, like, off-putting. I didn't think he necessarily needed to show up. I enjoyed seeing him again, but I didn't feel like, especially because Dokes was a good guy. All the other people that we saw were kind of bad guys.
Yeah, but Dokes was definitely an adversary. He was definitely an antagonist to Dexter, how the other ones were. I think some people were jarred by the fact that he gives Dexter a pass. But
Right.
again, it's Dexter's version. It's kind of like when Dexter was imagining Deborah, and I was like, well, that's not the only person who I feel like he does a really, really good job in his head embodying is his dad.
Yeah,
Like, that's
right.
the only person who he's
Harry.
who's able to retain some bit of his identity. It would have been funny, though, if throughout the course of this episode, since we'd seen him haunted by Deborah in the last season, if Deb had a reunion with Harry as, like, in his consciousness, and Dad? Like, that would have been really funny.
Yeah, I know, and that
And
kind of
stupid.
that goes back, I feel like, because there's no reason he really shouldn't be seeing Deb. I get that he got shot and that, like, she's holding his hand in that final scene, but it's like, she probably should. There's no reason why she's not showing up. I guess we just kind of have to
I
take
think
that.
Jennifer Carpenter said that she might be done with the character, at least for now. So I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't show up in this season. But with everyone else, it kind of makes up for it. He wakes up and he realizes that he needs to find Harrison once again. And Angela has conveniently, like we said, forgiven Dexter for being a serial killer, for killing Logan.
She's taking the fall so that Harrison doesn't have to for shooting him.
Angel reinstates Dexter as a real living person.
So we finally got, also, that was a big problem in the finale. We never got Angel Batista and Dexter scene. We got it here. I was really glad with the cameos. It seemed like almost every single scene for a long while had at least one cameo in it. But yeah, I enjoyed. What'd you think of the Angel Batista Dexter
I
talk?
think it was an expedient resolution, and I think it was like one of their favorite scenes to shoot because there was so much sub-layers to that conversation where it was like, how much does Angel actually think that Dexter is evil? And by the end, it's pretty clear that even if you're going to give, like, he's like 90% sure that Dexter is the Bay
Right,
Harbor
yeah.
Butcher, which is sad because it just means their relationship is never going to get to the point where they're just chummy pals.
That's true, but I
Mhm.
also like the direction it's heading, where Angel Batista, his best friend in the original series, is going to probably be the one to try and take him down this season.
Yeah, one of the few things I liked about the original ending, though, is that Angel and Masuka kind of like they existed. I know that he had his, like, LaGuerta dying was a big hit, but with that aside, it was like they remained innocent of everything else. And now you're bringing Angel into it. However, he is a good cop, so it makes sense. Harrison, however, he's also a curious case right now because he, in 10 weeks, because that's the amount of time that Dexter was in
Yeah.
in a coma, what has happened to Harrison?
Okay, so he's had like a complete life turnaround. He's now living or working at a hotel.
In New York City,
He
he's gotten a
seems-
job, so he must have an identity there.
He seems to have friends. I was wondering if they were trying to poke at a will they, won't they with that one staffer that
he's so close with her
babysitting.
that he's babysitting her kids. Again, in a couple weeks, he's become indispensable to the guests. He's like the go-to guy. He knows how to get anything, even though he's literally just shown up.
It made no sense. I was wondering why they didn't go like 2 or 3 years,
Right.
ever since New Blood. It was 10 weeks. But the second that I saw the shaving cream hit the hand, I went, no, Harrison's in the TV show. I thought it was kind of cool that he was brushing his teeth. Like, that's the first we see, obviously, a reference to the intro. But when I saw he showed up, I was like, no, why do we have to follow his character again? Because he always took away. I was way more interested with the stuff that was happening with Dexter.
At least now, though, you're getting a little bit more shot from his point of view. So you're seeing that he is also haunted. You're understanding that he's less of a psychopath than his dad. However, he's also screwing up. Like, at least when we saw him chop up the body in the first episode. So he gets mad at one of
Right.
the guests who's about to date rape this girl, and he ends up killing him in a fit of rage. And then he ends up like cleaning it up the same way that Dexter used to. I don't think they did a bad job with it.
Here's my thing. The only thing that I think that was better about his character than in New Blood is the fact that he's a lot more friendlier. So it's a little bit easier to follow. I appreciate that. I still wish he wasn't in the TV show, though.
He's aged 5 years in 3 months, a little less than 3 months. He's getting his GED as well. So he just like dropped out of high school as like a junior or something, and then suddenly, and he keeps on talking about himself like he is a high school dropout.
Just put Dexter in the coma for 2 or 3 years. It would make more sense.
Well, that would also make less sense because he gets out of the coma and he immediately runs to New York, and he's like almost fully physically able, even though they show a little bit of physical therapy for him. And anyway, so like, what's this? Harrison has killed a guy in New York City, of all places. The guy's body, the chopped up body, gets found by one of the the people who are throwing away the trash.
Cool season 2 reference at the end of the first episode where they find Dexter's bodies.
Yeah, it's immediately pinned back to the Empire Hotel because of the bags being associated with that. They have this really interesting detective that they're bringing in. Yes, it's a tropey character who like has who's able to see things and is kind of a dick about it. But I feel like Claudette also, like, as the series goes on, could be a really interesting one, especially if she ends up teaming with Angel Batista to try to figure out if it was Dexter. Because my thing is like, because he's killing the bodies the same way that the Bay Harbor Butcher would.
Yeah.
I feel like Angel's going to be like, oh, it was Dexter. And then he's going to realize that Dexter was in a coma during that time. So it couldn't possibly be him. And there's no way that he would put the connection with Harrison quite yet. So it'll just be interesting.
And like you said, Harrison, he's leaving clues all over the place. There's even like blood specks on the wall. I did find it cool how in episode 2, Dexter started to figure out his mistakes and had to kind of clean them up.
He's playing his guardian angel, absolutely. And then I think my favorite part of episode 1, I have a few, but like seeing Dexter in New York City driving around Times Square in that stupid van that he stole, and especially when Paramount shouted out itself, and he was just driving right in front of a giant Paramount sign. That was the most egregious, hilarious usage of ad campaign. Like, it was perfect. And so for that reason alone, I was like, this show deserves some props for just being funny. And also they introduced Uma Thurman's character. And for some reason, every article that I read talked about the Red Right Hand song. And as soon as that popped on, you even pointed it out.
Okay, so here, I was actually going to say one of my favorite parts was the soundtrack. Talking Heads, The Heavy, The Strokes, so much more songs, and those were only in the first 25 minutes. But when they used, I'll forgive the show for using Peaky Blinders' main theme. It's like when The Walking Dead used Insidious's like Tiptoe by the Window song. I was like, no, this is not Dexter, this is Peaky Blinders. Do not try
also in Scream. Like, it's been used before, but were...
It's like, it's the anthem of Peaky Blinders. I couldn't, like, the second I heard it, I was like, what are they doing?
It took you out of the show is what you're saying?
Yeah.
What do you think of Uma Thurman's character? We'll jump in a little bit to Camera Shy, which is the second episode. She sort of seems like a Nick Fury of serial killers. She is accruing a gang, and you have to know that eventually that's going to include Dexter somehow.
I didn't like her gentleman-esque character, the way that she kind of carried herself. I didn't feel like we needed more world building in the place of like how serial killers come to be or anything like that. I found her character to be pretty distracting. Now, I don't see how she ties into the plot yet.
I've realized that in this world of Dexter, from Miami to wherever you go in the world, if something traumatic happens to anyone in the show, there is a 50 to 80% chance that they become a serial killer. Like, even if they're a grown adult and it's just something bad. We saw it at Original Sin. Like, Dexter, one of his lines is like, I realized then how quickly good people could turn evil. But there's a difference between just having a bad day and being a dick and going full, like, I'm going to start killing everybody that I possibly can. It's pretty insane, but it's also kind of funny. We see Uma Thurman's character take someone out with a Negan bat. It is another serial killer. But Dexter also, when he gets into New York and he's trying to help Harrison, he gets distracted, like a dog seeing a freaking squirrel. He hears about from a Uber driver, but it's not Uber. It's like
your car is what they say.
Your car, yeah. He hears about this other killer that's on the loose who's called the Dark Passenger.
That was funny. I thought, though, like, the relationship he gets with this your car driver.
It was so weird.
It was like, wait, why are you such good friends with him?
Did you recognize him? Because we talked about him very recently. Natari Guma Mabaho Wine is the same character, not the same character, but the same person from Smoke. that series, the
Oh,
fry cook.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he doesn't have as much hair here, but I have been in cabbies where people are extremely talkative and super nice, and it does feel like you're almost friends by the end. I've never been invited to their like home dinner the next night and then been offered a place to live, especially when there's a serial killer out there that is described to look almost exactly like the person you're inviting back to your
It
place.
was it was it was funny, but yeah, it was so, like, out of left field because he's driving Dexter to get his car because his car has been towed, but not only when he drops him off are they just having a friendly chat, yeah, he's offering them, like, this room that's underneath them.
Right.
He just seems like he's part of the family
But
now.
that's the type of character that Dexter killed in New Blood, which was so infuriating because you
Mhm.
can't imagine him killing the cab or the U-car driver. Now, one thing I also like about it is that they made fun of the parking signs in New York because they can be hard to understand. But also the reason why the killer's not just jumping into cabs, because that would make more sense than him going to Ubers that or U-cars that already have a name associated with them,
Right.
is that taxis, if you remember, have that giant glass shield. So it would be
It would be
impossible
impossible to do.
for the killer in this show, the Dark Passenger killer, to kill in the same manner.
That's true. What did you think of his jacket that, like, made him that's why it's called camera shy because you can't make out his face
I've
in
seen it
cameras.
before in like other shows. I'm sure we've done shows where they've done that exact thing. So I know it's a thing. I know it's
Mm.
real. But not only that, Dexter is able to track down the guy in a very suspend your disbelief another time way. He just kind of pulls up some police reports and he figures out who doesn't have much of a track list because his bag had like a logo on it. My question though is this. This is where I'm like, come on. The guy he tracks down, he's standing outside of his workplace and he identifies him. And the
Yeah.
guy immediately tries to do it again. He's in hunting mode. He goes to the nearest your car, which makes it seem like that's how he's been doing it up until then. He's been going outside of his own work, jumping into your car. How long would it take the cops, since there's already been 7 bodies, to realize that every person who's died has come from the same location and
Right.
then not checked the surrounding area or had an increased police presence?
There would also be more of a confirmation than just, "Is this you?" "Yeah, okay," because that's what
Especially
happens
if it's
now.
always on the same block is what I'm
Yes,
saying. Like,
right.
that guy, if he's hunting, you would think he would do it at different parts of the town, not right outside of his own work.
Right.
That guy is stupid. Also, it was funny how Dexter kind of was like, "No, this is my cab," and then the guy had to go take off in the
I
subway.
like that scene, but I didn't know why the show treated it like it was such a big deal. Harry's like, "You saved him, why?" And
Right.
I was just like, that's not that big a thing,"
This is
you
the
know?
thing that I'm talking about with recycled plots. If this show didn't have the budget and the creativity that it has, it would be like he has saved good people before.
Right.
He's had these dilemmas before. We've seen this a billion times with Dexter. That's the sort of line where I kind of roll my eyes, but like you move on, you see what's going on next. I do have some questions. Like, are we ever going to hear about Aster and Cody again? Like,
Yeah, right, we don't even I don't even think they're brought up in New Blood.
maybe they're serial killers. Who knows? Let's see. How long do you think it will be before Harrison realizes that his dad is alive?
Probably a couple episodes. I'm imagining that's going to happen at towards the end of the series.
Okay. And so between the first 2 episodes, which was your favorite?
Oh, definitely the first episode. I my pros are that Michael C. Hall returns, the great character cameos, the soundtrack, New York as a new setting where there's like a lot more people around. I like that change. The end credits for both. So one thing I was really glad that they brought over from New Blood was New Blood always had like different end credits, but they looked really cool. Here, it's the same thing. It reminded me a lot of like Jessica Jones' intro scene because like the way that it's done, very artsy, looked very nice.
Yeah,
Over
without getting into spoilers of like who from Jessica Jones, but you're going to have some characters from that series who
I
haven't shown
saw
up.
I
It's
saw who, yeah.
Yeah, just in the Wikipedia page. It's weird that Peter Dinklage keeps on showing up in the credits.
So this is the thing. One of my main, like, I don't know if I can trust the TV series, especially with the finale, but I do feel like they're kind of juggling a lot, and I'm not sure which one the main story is. We have Dexter wanting to talk to Harrison, but Batista is also investigating Dexter. Dexter going after the dark passenger killer. Peter Dinklage, like you said, his name keeps showing up. I'm sure he's going to play a major part, but I'm a little worried that like it seems like we're juggling too much at this point.
I would share that concern. However, I don't, because you said it yourself. Like, they struggle with finales, right?
Yeah.
They're not looking to make a finale for this one. This is a show that they want to resurrect for good. They want it to go for seasons.
This is hilarious. I was wondering if it was supposed to be the final season. So Dexter has proven that it can't land a series finale. So they went, you know what? We're not going to even try to make it a series finale. We're going to keep going. The thing that surprised me so much, just bringing up New Blood one more second, was that I remember they worked from the back. Like, they wrote the finale first.
That's weird.
And then, yeah, so why wasn't it better, you know? But then they worked from the back. I wonder if they did the same thing with Resurrection or not.
Probably not, because again, like well, maybe for some storylines, but probably not for everything, for sure. I do wonder if Angela will ever return to the series and kind of give some more evidence as to why she forgave him. I don't think they could really do much, honestly.
Out of all the characters that didn't return, I understood why Angela wasn't in the show.
They couldn't, not at least at first, because it just wouldn't make any sense why he didn't wake up with in handcuffs.
Mhm.
Like, that was shocking. It's received pretty positive reviews from critics and fans alike so far.
Oh, 7 out of 10, just reiterating that. Yeah.
Yes, 7 out of 10 from you. Hollywood Reporter did call it cartoonish, which I don't disagree on, but they said it in a negative way. Ebert and Collider both loved it. Like I said, 9.3 on IMDb. It does feel like third time's the charm. I liked the first episode of New Blood. I thought that it did capture the spirit, and I think for all the series flaws, that there were moments where I was just like, oh yeah, that's cool to have Dexter back. People say that he looks more like himself here in the busy city atmosphere.
Well, they also do the thing where when he's talking to, with the cameos, like he's in his old getup. I did like Jimmy Smith's scene where he's digging graves, obviously a reference to season 3 when Dexter has to have the 4 locations to try and find the body. I thought that was cool, but yeah.
Do you think he's going to come back again?
Probably not. I think that this was a one-time thing. Like, I don't think John Lithgow is showing back up.
It's also like, you think about anything from this show too much, it doesn't make any sense. So, for instance, in New Blood, they had the podcaster who was like a world-renowned podcaster, and she just suddenly goes missing.
Mm-hmm. And there's not like anyone really looking for her.
And like 11 weeks later, even if they actually know she was killed off, right, by the Clancy Brown character.
we see
and
her
there's
in
not
the
like
thing.
reporters everywhere in that town, you know. He just leaves and it's really quiet. Batista's like the only one there. There's one sheriff in charge. Like, it's just so crazy how like some guy in New York, this Ryan dude who Harrison chopped up, gets more airtime than, and I guess it's just because more airtime than the dark passenger killer, than like so many other things. But yeah, that sort of goes with the territory with the show like this. I enjoy it. Like, I feel like a lot of people enjoy the show, and so those are my two comparisons: is you and Crank.
I also had, because I said Jessica Jones and The Walking Dead already, obviously all the Dexter series, but Hannibal, Mr. Robot, Barry, just because it's a very similar main character.
Yeah, I feel like Barry is a more of a loose cannon than even Dexter.
Yeah.
Dexter has shown stability or an ability to kind of like compartmentalize in a way where Barry, by the end especially, was kind of just like a little insane. I don't know. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode. Hope you enjoyed this one. Bye.
Bye.